7 signs to let you know that you are one of those beings that are advanced. Okay. Some people call it an old soul. Old soul. So the first one is you have a lot of questions. You constantly question. And the reason why you have these questions goes into another reason, which is your insight. So your questions come from a place of knowing. It comes from a place of awareness. This is what consciousness is. It's a certain awareness. So you have a certain awareness that enables you to even ask the question. You have be in a gathering and something may transpire and you're like, did anybody just not see what happened? Wow. And it's like everybody else is almost oblivious, but you can see through certain things and you notice a lot of things, and it causes you to ask questions. Okay. Asking questions puts you on a quest. This is how you get knowledge. Okay. One of the reasons why people don't really advance spiritually is because their questions get stifled. In organized religion, you're not able to continuously ask questions because now you become almost like a troublemaker, and it's blasphemy, which is a red flag. Not so much a red flag for the religion. Okay. In all wisdom, it's the red flag for the teacher. Okay. And a lot of pastors and preachers, they're not necessarily much more spiritually advanced. It's just that they went to school for it and things of this nature. It hasn't necessarily been an anointing on them. So they can't tap into the spirit and get the answer because they confined in that book. They're going to take everything back to the book. Whereas if you're dealing with insight and higher consciousness, you can tie it into nature. You can tie it into biology. You can tie it into mathematics. Okay, which is the real language of truth. Mathematics. Mathematics don't deal with any beliefs. Okay, mathematics. So number 2, insight. Insight means to see into things and to see through things. You're able to see into things and see through things. You can also see through people. You can tell when somebody's being fake. Certain children, when they're babies, they'll be terrified of an individual for no reason. They'll be fine with that, with pretty much everybody, but a certain individual comes around, they get terrified. That's part of that insight. Okay. Insight enables you to see into things and peep game, what they say, right? Peep game. You're able to see how manipulation is taking place, right? Which also adds to the questions, because in many ways, conscious people, we asking questions because it's not really like the question deals with seeing through the bull, right? And the fact that you ask the question is leading to an awareness, or what you call an exposure of falsehood. So oftentimes these people could see these things. I saw an interview with Michael Jackson and all his brothers, and the lady was questioning them about, how do you go to school? And, they said that they have a tutor that travels with them. And she tried to finagle a little something. She said, so American history. So she tapping into that, trying to make sure these little black boys learning about white supremacy. You know about American history, right? So she tried to quiz the brothers on something. Said, well, when was Andrew Jackson born? And they was like, wow, looking at each other. Michael Jackson says, little Michael said, what year was that when he was born again? He asked a question to her in a way to reveal that she didn't even know when Andrew Jackson was born. He didn't even look at it. He was just pretty much fiddling with his hands, and they said, do you know when she was born? Do you know when Andrew Jackson was born? Just to let her know, you ain't gonna sit here and play games with my brothers. And they called him the 40-year-old midget. They called him a 40-year-old midget because he was so advanced, right? He would be telling his brothers it's time to rehearse. He's the littlest one, all of that energy, right? So that's somewhat how it is. Children do it too. You could tell when children are peeping stuff. You could tell children don't miss anything. When they have that insight, it's hard to fool them. It's hard to fool them, right? I was like that as a kid as well. One of my sons is like that. It's like, this guy, he's gonna peep that. There's no way we're gonna be able to hide that gift. There's no way you're gonna get around it, because he has ears like a bat. It's like sonar, right? He's seeing stuff. He's hearing things and he's reading between the lines. This is how you come to realize, how did my child know all of these different things? You see? How do they become aware? Because they're very insightful. Number 3, sensitive. Conscious people are very sensitive. Not meaning sensitive necessarily emotionally, although it plays out that way. They can be very sensitive emotionally, but they're sensitive in the sense of picking up people's energy. They're sensitive in picking up people's energy. They can tell when a person just isn't right. They'll close off to that person. They'll be distant from that person. Okay, just like conscious people do. You could feel a person out. Yeah, it sounds good and everything, but something's just not right. Right? Something's just not right with that person's spirit. You're sensitive to that. You can almost pick up on, this is why when I lived in New York and I used to commute to Manhattan and the Bronx, sitting on that train, you picking up so much energy, you picking up so much, and I used to wonder why I always would be so tired as soon as I get on the train. You see, getting on the LIR and things, always fall asleep. And I feel like, wow, sometimes I just feel down for no reason. Like, damn, I can't put my finger on, I'm down for some particular reason. And then it dawned on me later in life, you could pick up on things that people are going through. A lot of people going through a lot of things, and you could pick up on it. It's like it hits you, you could feel it. And then when you look into people's eyes, you can feel it even more. This is why sometimes people don't even look. They don't even really want to look in people's eyes. You see, you don't really want to look in people's eyes. And you know, it's rude to not give eye contact and things of this nature. Sometimes people just like wearing glasses, sunglasses and things of this nature. You see? But sensitivity is a big part of it. Sensitivity is meaning that you are very alert to and receptive to impulses and stimuli from the outside world. Very sensitive to it, okay? So it's very important that you tune into that and learn how to navigate that, because that can be very agonizing, being an empath and a very sensitive person. This is where knowledge comes in. This is where wisdom comes in. You can understand and understand that this is how things are to be. And certain people sign up to go through certain experiences. They sign up to go through certain experiences. Me and the Queen was talking about, I forget her name, Sarah Bartman, I think her name is. She changed her name to Sarah, but she had a South African name. It happened way back, I think in the 1800s, but she wanted to leave her culture, right? And she pretty much ran off to France, and she was very voluptuous. She ran off to France with these Caucasians, and they put her behind in a circus. They put her in a circus, you know, the biggest booty in the world and things of this nature, right? They put her in a circus, Hottentot Venus. You can research that, Hottentot Venus. Put her in a circus, had her prostitute, and she picked up all of these sexually transmitted diseases, and eventually died. Because she wanted to move away from her culture. She wanted to have the good life in France and things of this nature. Went out there and got turned out. And it came to pass, I know I'm off topic, but it's powerful because this is what we're dealing with. We're running away from our virtue and our righteousness, being tangled up with this particular low frequency entity down on this planet. You forgetting your purpose. But it came to pass, that wasn't enough for them to make all of that money off of her from the circus and from turn her into a prostitute, pimping her pretty much, white slavery. When she died, they preserved her body in a huge pickle jar, pretty much. They preserved her genitalia and her body in a pickle jar and then put her body in a museum. You see? So a person could tap into that and feel heart-wrenched by it. You could feel heart-wrenched by things that people go through. You got the elephant man and things of this nature. You got all of the atrocities that happen on this planet. Everything from the Holocaust to slavery, right? Extermination of Native Americans. You imagine being a Native American? You got all of these states like Indiana and Chicago, and out there in New York, we have Montauk, right? That's the Indian tribe. You had Hatpog, Indian tribe, right? Massapequa, all of these Indian names, and they own everything. Can you imagine how that must feel? But you have to understand and take into account knowledge helps to broaden your insight, so you're not just looking at a snapshot of a picture. You can see the whole story, and now it makes sense. It makes sense in the context of the grander plan. You see, so this is why we get this information, because you can be heartbroken down here on this planet with all the atrocities and police brutality and hate, right, and evil. You see, so knowledge frees you from the heart-wrenching aspect of being sensitive. Okay, because when you are, upset and frustrated and angry and depressed, all of that lowers your frequency. It lowers your energy. So get this particular knowledge so you can see the full picture. Number 4, another fact about highly conscious people, or 6 facts to know that you're highly conscious, is that you have inner knowing. Certain things you just automatically know. You don't know how you know. You don't know where you read it. You don't know who told you. Into a core, inner knowing, which also ties into the meaning of consciousness, which means being aware. You have an inner awareness. Okay, it's immaculate. No, it wasn't conceived or initiated any place. It just is what it is. It was always in you. You know, when I'm building with my son, really all of them, they all chime in, but they just nod in their head. That's facts. That's right knowledge. Big facts. That's right, Dad. They adding on to it. Sometimes bringing extra information. I'm like, how do you know that? You got that on YouTube? No, I just know. It just makes sense. And then they start connecting it with other things. It's just like XYZ. Wow. Right? So you have inner knowing. You just know things. Certain things someone can say you automatically know. And the fact that you automatically know when something is true, you also know when something is bull. You know when something is totally false and doesn't make sense. It's a pipe dream. It's a belief. But you may go along with it just because everybody going along with it, right? Let me just follow everybody else. But come on. That is not true, okay? Number 5 is you're often a loner. You're often a loner. See, a lot of people are born with the light, but a lot of people can't maintain the light. Based on your environment and what you're being exposed to, that thing will get stifled off by all of those dead zombies around you, right? So as we get older, it's less and less people that are conscious, that have been able to maintain that awareness past puberty. When puberty kick in, right? When puberty kicks in, it's a whole nother story. You start being interested in other things and you really want to fit into your social group. Females, it's very important that they are accepted as far as being pretty and things of this nature. And it just sidetracks a lot of the consciousness, okay? Being pretty, wanting to fit in, wanting to be accepted, that's a big one. Okay, so you're often a loner. You may not have a whole lot of friends if you stay conscious for long periods of time. Because a lot of people just focus on fitting in and getting something to eat and being comfortable. That's it. You see, that's it. You're talking about things more advanced past that. The conversation is going to be really short, pretty much. People could build for a little while, but it's going to be short. And I guarantee you, it's always going to go back to some form of physical pleasure or some food or sex or something material and physical, because that person is pretty much 90 or 95% physical. We all have different percentages of spiritual nature and physical nature. Some people are 70% physical and 30% spiritual. Some people are 80% physical and 20% spiritual. It's all of these things that come into play. It's based on your genetics. Absolutely. Yeah. Friendless. Someone said friendless right now. But it doesn't mean that you're lonely. You see, there's a difference between lonely and having no friends. You can, in fact, have a lot of friends and still be lonely, because those relationships are not soul level. They're not very intellectual connection. It's a low level connection. Okay. But anyway, number 6, you despise injustice. A big part of consciousness is seeing the essential unity between all things. All things come from a source and all things are connected. So when you see that, that police brutality, I saw a picture somebody put up on Twitter. This police officer beat this man's face to a pulp with his flashlight. You see, he beat him to the pulp, with his flashlight. It's like, you could feel it. Said, damn, that could have been me. That could have been my son. You follow me? So regardless of the race or whatever, a person who has a heart is like, wow. A person that's conscious, like, man, that really affects you. It really affects you. You have to learn how to navigate this and be able to function, people, because some of you are highly sensitive. I pick it up. Some of you are very empathetic. They call it empaths. And you pick up on a lot, and it could really, really damage you. Psychically and mentally, it could cause damage. You have to be careful to understand that all things happen for a reason. I used to get to the point, someone step on an ant, I'd be like, oh man, that's messed up. You step on an ant. You got to hold it all in. You see, just little things. But all of these things, you see it. You see the lions in the Serengeti hunting, and they capture that particular gazelle, and it's a young gazelle, right? It's one of the young, and he's just eating that thing alive. It could be heart-wrenching, but that's part of nature. That's part of nature. Death is a part of life. Everything recycles through nature. Everything. Okay, so here's a bonus as I let you go. If you're highly aware and highly conscious, it's very hard for you to be fake. You're not good at being fake. Some people are good at being fake. It's like, dang, you gonna keep that up that long. You're gonna keep that line going, that lie going. You're gonna wear that mask for that many years. Some people are good at being fake. And the reason why they're good at being fake is because they ain't attached to anything real anyway. They have no connection to anything real as far as their soul anyway. So it's easy to be fake. It's hard to be fake when you know the truth, when you know who you are, and when you are connected to your soul. You have a connection to your source, which gives you all of these things, the insight, the knowing, the sensitivity, right? So it's hard to be fake. That's part of the reason why some of y'all don't have a whole lot of friends, because most people are unconscious. But you do have to learn how to live in the world, but not of it. And you got to sprinkle some fakeness in there. It's just part of being down here. Okay, it's part of being down here. You have to fake it a little bit. Okay, but the more conscious you are, that stuff gets tired. You see, why am I even... This person ain't even worth my effort in being fake. And this is where the what do you call it? The arrogance may come, and people may look at it as arrogance or cocky or know-it-all. How many people hear that? Family members and friends. This dude, he know-it-all. Mr. Perfect, right? Mrs. Perfect. She know it all. So you got to tone it down, people.